everyone, welcome to School of Scarlett. I am so happy to have you here today. Today we're going to be talking about the service to others, and I'm going to be telling you about my experiences in volunteering and how that has shaped my reality to what it is today, and why it's important to get involved in your community, get involved with other people, even if you are an introvert. So stick with me and we'll talk about that here to come. Before we start, I wanted to just give some updates. I'm setting up my new set, so I'm going to kind of be working with this for right now. So exciting things are coming. I do have some new courses available for you on my Teachable platform. I still have the Unconditional course, which is the staple course. And then I also have a Savage Unconditional course. This course is now available for you. It is an intensive container, meaning you get one-on-one sessions every 2 weeks. So if you are really wanting to ramp things up and get things going for the new year, I would recommend the Savage Unconditional course or the Unconditional course. I am also opening up more sessions for one-on-one sessions. So if you are interested in counseling or one-on-one sessions, go ahead and just, you can sign up through Teachable, and then I'll contact you to set up your session. So I've been counseling over 18 years, and I have a lot of experience around mental health and also the spiritual realm as well. So if you're interested in any of that, I just offer that to you right here and now. So all of that is in the description and in the comments down below. So let's get started. Today we're going to be talking about the service to others. So one of the things that happens is a lot of times we really want to, innately, we truly want to serve others. There's this need or this desire that appears to arise for some of us. For most of us, that's the case. And even so, when we're introverts or we're having things like social anxieties and things like that, even for people like that, these desires still rise. So I'm going to be sharing my experiences around that and what the experiences in volunteering actually bring to you and your reality and the fullness of your life. So for this character, I pretty much always was someone that wanted to volunteer. I don't know why, because I've always been an introvert and I've always been kind of not wanting to interact, especially with larger crowds. So it was kind of unusual, but anytime someone would ask for a volunteer, whether it be at school or like at church or something like that, my hand would automatically go up. Like I couldn't even really control that. It would just go up. So I don't know what that was about, but when I would do it, I knew like I didn't want it. Like I felt like I didn't want to do it, but something made me do it. I couldn't stop it. So whatever that was, that force, that energy in me was making me do this for whatever reason. I needed to go through these experiences. So I would be very nervous to go into all of these experiences that I went into. So I'm going to share some of these volunteering experiences with you. So to begin, one of the first things that I did with volunteering, the first place that I ever volunteered at was a nursing home. Now, I volunteered at this nursing home because this was back in high school, and a friend of mine had gotten into some kind of trouble or missed too much school, and he had to do community service. So because he was my friend and stuff like that, I decided to go with him just to make it fun and just, it seemed interesting to me at the time. And like I say, every time there was an opportunity to volunteer, something in me would not let me not do it. I had to do it. So every time these things happened, I was there. And so I went to go volunteer at the nursing home. And at the nursing home, I really I hadn't been around older people prior to this or anybody that had mental illnesses like dementia and all of this. So I was not aware of any of this. And so coming into this volunteer experience, I was asked to help them with their bingo, making sure that they were, putting their little tokens or markers in the right spot and, checking their boards. So we started off with that. And then later we played some other games. But in doing that, I really got to observe, these people and the way that they were. And then I also got to work in different units. So there was different levels of dementia. And I worked in each one up until I got to the highest level, which is total dementia. They do not know that who they are anymore. And they're even very aggressive. So I got to see all of this with my own eyes. I got to experience how to be compassionate with someone. There was basically everyone in there was yearning to see their children. And they never visited, like no one ever visited these people. And I guess I looked like one of the women's daughters, and she continued to insist that I was her daughter. And she was a very beautiful woman. She really genuinely just wanted to sit down and talk, but she insisted I was her daughter. And I had to basically transform into her daughter and sit with her and talk. And I did. And it was beautiful, a beautiful conversation. It was special, but it was very odd. These experiences have really shaped me in ways that I can't really put into words, but they've shown me a side of humanity and humans that I think a lot of people don't see. So anyhow, in doing that, my heart was kind of closed at this time, okay? And in doing these little things, like sitting with that woman because she insisted that I was her daughter, and I just didn't want to break her heart. In doing some of these things, my heart began to open more and more. So volunteering, service to others, if you are tightly closed or you just are disconnected from yourself and others, volunteering and the service to others is an essential way to quickly have an opening. Because you see, when you're helping others, you're truly really helping yourself. You're just not realizing that, but that is what is happening. So anyhow, I did that for a while. I really got a good understanding of dementia, and I didn't even have to be there that long to do that. As soon as I moved up through all the different levels of patients, it was pretty clear to me what was going on with that area. I learned a lot about their behaviors of, wanting to escape. I learned a lot about death, about counseling people to prepare for death. There was a counselor there, and I was interested in learning about that, so I got to sit in on some sessions. So I got a lot of knowledge and connection from a simple experience of just volunteering with a friend that was assigned community service. I didn't have to have a degree. I didn't have to have like a ton of experience or anything. I just had to say I wanted to volunteer, and they allowed me to work in there and interact with these people and see all of this, which as later I would become a mental health professional. And so all of that was so valuable for me. And so after that volunteer experience, I've done so many, I'll see what I can kind of pull out. But after that, I volunteered at the Holocaust Museum, and the Holocaust Museum was in Houston. And this Holocaust Museum, I'm not Jewish, or I don't come from I'm not Jewish, but I volunteered there just kind of out of compassion, out of interest. And it was very interesting. I worked in the library, and I got to see a lot of the literature, all of those pictures and things, and categorize things and save things, and just a lot of things. And through that, a lot of people that were coming in through the museum would come into the library. And so I would talk to them and, show them whatever it is that they wanted to know about or whatever. So that was an interesting experience as well. I volunteered with all Jewish women, and I learned a lot from these Jewish women. They were very strong. They are very opinionated. So they helped me to also come a little bit out of my shell, because I was also very shy. They encouraged me for different things. They were trying to set me up with different people. They were really showing me that they were accepting of me in different, even if I wasn't Jewish, they were very accepting, and they were sharing with me their wisdom. These women were older. So they were sharing with me also things about how they don't just volunteer at this one Holocaust center. Most of these women were volunteering at different things. So they had a full schedule of volunteering, and so that made their life full, and they got a lot out of that, because you see, that nourishes you and it nourishes others. So in that experience, I really learned a lot about really the darkest facets, the lowest and just darkest, most horrific parts of humanity. Now, of course, I don't see it that way anymore, but the way I saw it then was quite shocking. So let me see something very much in contrast to love. I got to see some pictures that maybe would never be shown in that museum, that were just so graphic, and things that you would never want to see or put your eyes on. Let's just put it that way. Children and things like that. So I saw all of that. And that impacted me in a way that I wasn't upset or jaded at humanity, but I saw that was there. And so I think that was an opening for me. It was something that I needed to see. Everything I volunteered with or did, I can assure you, was a shock value. It wasn't something I had ever seen before, and it was so almost disgusting, I would say, the things I had to see. Even at the nursing home, there was quite a few people in the, highest level of the dementia that would grab me and, try to take my clothes off or take their clothes off, and it was very normal. That's what they would do. Their strength was outrageous. They would also, one man grabbed me very hard, and he got me close, and he said, "Jesus is coming." And he started singing songs. It was very interesting, and it was just flowing through him. It was spirit. So I got to see that. That wasn't him. I mean, it's him, it is what everything is, but it wasn't like what you would, if his family was there, they probably would say that wasn't him, that was spirit. So it was amazing, the experiences I've had, even just in those few things. And you can see at that time, I was about 16 years old at the nursing home, and around the time I went to the Holocaust Museum, I was 18. And then after that, right around that same year, I actually got a job at the domestic violence shelter. Now, that's not a volunteering thing, but I just want to share a little bit with you. Actually, let's back up. I did volunteer prior to ever working at the domestic violence shelter. I volunteered at another domestic violence shelter that was closer to me. And what I did there was file paperwork. And the paperwork I was filing were pictures and like sheets with like bodies with circles and markings where the woman had been abused. There were reports, there was all kinds of stuff. And at that age, I was so curious about everything. I was very much into watching like Lifetime movies and things around people that were having traumas and crime and stuff like that. So when I was filing all of these things, everything I filed, I read. I read everybody's file. I was so nosy. I read every file, and I saw every marking, and I saw everything that happened. And so I got that understanding of that. Now, the next shocking part about it was after I left that, I went to go work at a domestic violence shelter. Now, I was working on the hotline, and I would answer domestic violence and sexual assault hotlines for all of Houston. And most of the times it was domestic violence. I would find them a place to stay, help them do whatever they needed to do. The sexual assault hotline, the majority of times that I was answering the phone were severe cases where they were requesting a sane nurse or an advocate to come out to be with the sane nurse and the patient. So the sexual assault nurse. And so most of the calls that I got, I worked at night, were children that were being severely abused, where they ended up in the hospital and they needed an advocate. So they would call me so I could call the advocate to come out. So it's pretty rare that I got a call on the sexual assault hotline that was just someone that had been sexually assaulted. Always, it was usually people that were literally needing immediate help. So it was shocking. I was part of a very shocking case that happened in Houston where a 6-month-old girl was sexually abused. And so when that happened, that was so much for me to take in. I developed a sleep disorder. I couldn't sleep at night anymore after I started working there. I would be very worried of things after I left. What would happen to these people? What happened to the children? I never could know if, I would leave and then come back the next day, and, they wouldn't really tell you that stuff. So it was just a lot of stuff that happened, but it opened my eyes to, like I say, that dark, seedy part of society and the different things that can happen when we are in this kind of lower vibration, when we're not identifying ourselves correctly, because you see, we aren't meant to live that way. We are meant to experience the polarity and the opposite, the darkness of it, but only for so long, not forever, but just for a little bit, so that we can then experience the opposite, which is bliss, which is love, which is unconditional love. So let me fix the little camera a little bit. Okay, so that's what I learned there. Now, I kept on volunteering for all kinds of stuff. I'm trying to think now what else that I volunteered in. So as a matter of fact, the reason that I'm making this video now is because I'm getting ready to go volunteer. So I volunteer usually, I'm trying to fix the camera. I have a little bit of different setup today and it's a little bit hard to work with, but I write children's books for fun. And so one of the things that I do is I go to Head Start Center, which is a school that I used to work at, and I read to the children here and there. I'll read them books that I've created and see how they react to it and stuff like that, and spend time with them. So that gives me a chance to interact with my former coworkers, which is, there's just two that work there now. All of them, other ones have left. And it gives me time to interact with these younger children, which are, they're open. They understand these children's books. They understand, like, I could talk about unconditional love. I could talk about so many things, and they understand. They're pure love. Yes, they have their little things that, normal human nature, but they're pure love. They understand and they're open to things. So I really enjoy doing that. But you see, that doesn't just benefit the children. That doesn't just benefit the center. It benefits me in many ways. And in being there, it also provides those children that nourishment that I could give them. So one of the things about volunteering or service to others is that it is something that you can do, but you have to look at your whole situation. Usually when you're volunteering so much like I do, you're going to want to make sure that your cup is full. Because, for example, when I started working at the domestic violence shelter, the type of scenarios and situations that I was in were so stressful that it caused this sleep disorder. So would my cup be full and runneth over to be able to give to another in that case? No. I'm depleted. I'm tired. I'm actually not sleeping. So I wouldn't have anything to give to someone else in that case. So when you're volunteering, when you're doing these things, it's important to really reflect and make sure that you're taking care of yourself. If you're taking care of others at the expense of yourself, you're doing it all wrong, and you're going to get into a big burnout, basically. So the whole thing with volunteering is it's amazing. It is what we are eventually led to do, is service to others. But we can't do it at the expense of ourselves, because you see, we are all there is. We cannot do that. That's all I want to say about that. So we want to just keep checking in and making sure that our cup is full. And so through volunteering, usually a lot of times your cup gets full even when you volunteer. It doesn't deplete you all the way. So that's a benefit of it. So don't be scared to volunteer, even if you are a little bit like lower on energy or not feeling all the way. It's okay, but you don't want to be all the way out of energy. You want to have something to give to these children, to these people, because when you give, then you receive. But if you're just giving, you're going to run out, and you're going to burn out, and you're going to be tired, you're going to be frustrated, and you're not going to be in the energy of volunteering or giving. So volunteering and giving, you have to kind of be in this energy of flow, of going. So anytime I participate in anything, whether it's volunteering, working, creating a video like this, I do it out of flow. So I create my flow by doing the things that energize and make me happy throughout my day. And then boom, there's a time where now you're ready to go work, because your cup is full and runneth over with so much greatness that you've built up. You've had a great breakfast, you took a nice bath, you got yourself dressed, maybe you listened to a meditation. So now your cup is full and you're ready to give to those others. So you really want to check in about those things. So the whole purpose of this video is just to bring light to the benefits of working in things like community service, and just the openings it can give. You never know what your journey will unfold to. I also worked as a volunteer at a hospital in Houston. And in that hospital, I was working under a nurse. So I got to do everything that the nurse got to do. And I was not a medical professional. I was, again, in my teenage years. And so doing this allows you to really see a full experience of different facets and areas of life that maybe you wouldn't have had access to. So just because maybe you work as, I don't know, a scientist in a university does not mean that you can't have the experience of volunteering at a hospital or feeling what it is like to take care of patients. You can do that if you just volunteer maybe once a month or once a week, whatever you can do. So when I volunteered at the hospital, I volunteered under a nurse. And the nurse that I volunteered under, she taught me everything. But basically in that area that I was working in was the ICU, intensive care unit. And in this unit, the majority of patients that we had were drug addicts. They were people that were in withdrawal. They were people that were having issues due to drug abuse. These people would scream, yell, get frustrated. They treated us poorly, many things. But they had horrible medical issues that would happen due to drugs. Like literally their esophagus, things would go so wrong that their bodies would become so damaged due to drug abuse. And I would see people come in 1 week and maybe they'd stay a week and then they'd leave, and a month later they'd be right back in worse conditions. So I got to see this with my own eyes. Now, yes, I got to experience, the medical healthcare field, which is what I was trying to do. I wanted to see whether or not that was something of interest to me, because at the time I was interested in the medical field. But it really gave me something else. It gave me a full picture of what it is to be truly addicted to drugs, what it does to your body, what it does to your spirit, what it does to your personality, your everything. So it basically painted a picture for me about drugs. So that to say, I never ever did drugs. So yeah, that's all these experiences. I could go on and on because I volunteered at many places. So get involved in life. Find a community center and see what volunteer opportunities there is. There's volunteersofamerica.com. There's many sites and nonprofit sites that want volunteers, especially right now with, so many people not really working at these lower income jobs and things like that. They don't have a lot of employees. Especially nonprofits would be one place that would probably be very much in need of volunteers. So get out there, get involved with people. My experiences have been mainly around social work, have been mainly around human issues and working with people. And whether I was volunteering or getting paid to be alongside these people that had very different lives than I did, I learned a ton from them. And every time I left a lot of counseling situations or anything, I always kind of felt like I learned something from that, even though I knew that, they were so grateful. They felt that they were healed and, they were so doing so well and stuff. I was grateful for that. But at the same time, I realized the full benefit of it for me as well. So all of this goes both ways. You can't go wrong in volunteering. Some people think, I'm just going to waste my time, or I don't have the time for it, or you just don't get paid for it. You will be compensated greatly for volunteering. I don't even sweat to volunteer that I don't get paid, because I know every time I volunteer, abundance comes into my life, whether that's in a new insight, whether that's in money from some other source just coming in randomly. But in some way or another, I am always replenished and nourished in abundance. So I encourage you to get out there. Experience something new, try something new, talk to someone new, even if you're an introvert. I will claim I'm an introvert and I do not enjoy large crowds. And I pretty much don't really like new situations either, but for some reason, this character wants to volunteer for everything. And when I do, I learn things, I see things, I'm nourished, I'm replenished. Things happen that would not normally happen if I just stayed home and watched videos or, created things, at home. I have to sometimes get out there. One of the methods that I use in my creation, and whether I'm creating art, whether I'm creating these videos, whether I'm writing my books or doing whatever I do, my crafts, I use inspiration. How do I get inspiration? I get my inspiration from going out in the world. When I go take a walk, when I go volunteer somewhere, when I go substitute teach and maybe learn something from a student, or they say something, it literally sparks an insight for me of an idea for a video, an idea for something I want to do for art, or something is sparked. Something is seen that wasn't seen before. And this only really ever happens to me when I'm in the flow and when I'm out there working in the flow. So I create my flow and then I get out there. And as I'm doing that, boom, boom, I get these downloads. And then I go home and I can work on those. Now my creative process is getting juicy and I can work on these things. And these things that come through, these downloads, are out of this world. These are not things that, you would normally think about or have. They come, basically, they're like inspired from the universe. They're all connected to who you are. They're all connected to love, but it's now coming through because it's time. You're ready. And so you'll get these insights, you'll get these openings for love. And so it's time to run with it. That's spirit coming through with your purpose. So when you hear it, when you get those downloads, when you hear that voice of God, you're ready to go. And how do you get there? You got to get in that flow. You got to get in that flow. And once you get into that flow, I really encourage you to find a place to volunteer and, give some of that runneth over on your cup. Give some of that to others. And in turn, you'll still continue to receive. So I hope that this message was helpful to you. I hope that you will get involved in life. I hope that you will meet new people, have new experiences, have new openings, have a spark of creation, an excitement, a bliss, something for you. I hope that this is the case. So if you like this video, please share it with others. Comment down below. If you're interested in connecting further, I offer one-on-one sessions and my courses. Thank you so much for watching. I love you all.